Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Ask Joshi, and here we have a 1v1 commentary from Starcraft 2. This is actually a game from the European servers played for the Go4 SC2 Cup, which is an ESL tournament. The players today are WhiteRa, also known as WhiteRa. He is the beloved Ukrainian Protoss player. He does play for Mousesports, and he did change his name to DuckloadRa for retail because Mousesports actually loaned him to Duckload.com as a sponsorship deal. So DuckloadRa is here for a while, although it is WhiteRa actually playing the account. So, Red Protoss, WhiteRa, playing against his actual teammate on Mousesports, MaNa, and MaNa is going to be the green Protoss up here on the top of Lost Temple. And like I said, this is being played for a tournament, so both players are not going to go easy on each other just because they're teammates. But they do have a little bit of variation in their build already. WhiteRa building his first pylon over at the ramp, and MaNa, probably going to end up saying both just because I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced. Building that first pylon close to his nexus here, so he is going to be a little bit more protective of his mineral line and actually get his probes back to mining as soon as possible by placing his buildings so close to that mineral line. And the first gateway does go down, also blocking off the mineral line, so MaNa being a bit protective of his workers, while WhiteRa, on the other hand, wants to be protective of his entire ramp. So both players send their probes to start scouting now. Not sure who's going to find the other player first. Both players actually stopping at their respective Xel'Naga towers on the way to the next place. That way they can try and catch a glimpse of the enemy scouting probe and get a little bit of information more quickly. So both gateways still warping in here. WhiteRa or WhiteRa actually checking the wrong position first, and this is actually kind of interesting out of MaNa. He's checking the cross positions first because he's probably wanting to do some more aggressive play perhaps, and if he finds WhiteRa at that cross position, it'll get enough time to sort of switch his tech direction in time instead of having to commit to something overly aggressive for a cross position spawn. So both players do have their first gateways finished now. WhiteRa starting immediately with that Zealot, but it looks like MaNa is going to be saving up and going ahead straight for that Cybernetics core. He's already got his gas up, and WhiteRa should as well. Yes, he does, and we just now see him put 3 probes on that gas. So MaNa is going to be a little bit ahead in the tech. WhiteRa just now starting his Cybernetics core, but WhiteRa, of course, is going to have the unit advantage with this first Zealot on the way. He does not have enough cash to start a second Zealot just yet, but he does the moment he hits 100. So this first Zealot going to walk in here uncontended. Actually, this Zealot should be finished by the time WhiteRa's arrives, so MaNa should be just fine. Cybernetics core does complete for him now, so probably going to be dropping either another gateway or just getting a stalker going immediately. WhiteRa's probe is in here, walking around, zapping some stuff, just trying to keep MaNa's attention away from his buildings, while that first Zealot actually is just parked outside of MaNa's base, not going to be going in there anytime soon. WhiteRa already saw this Zealot up and chasing his probe, so he does not want to just sack that Zealot for no reason. And first stalker coming out now for MaNa. WhiteRa sending another Zealot across the map and chrono boosting his first stalker. What else has he got going on? Nothing at the moment, just getting that second assimilator. MaNa already has his finished, and he does manage to take out that scouting probe of WhiteRa while getting that second gateway up. So WhiteRa actually could be falling behind a little bit here. He's only on 1 unit producing structure while MaNa is on 2. Both players getting their warp gate research as fast as possible. This probe of MaNa is probably going to go down to this stalker, especially if he can get another one out in time. It looks like he canceled something. No, chrono boost just ended. So stalker does blow up that probe. A robotics facility coming in for WhiteRa first, so MaNa does build one actually right after WhiteRa starts his, but he does have that second gateway going for him as well, whereas WhiteRa is still working on only 1. So WhiteRa going to have more resources to work with to get units out of this robotics facility, but going to have a little bit of a unit disadvantage because he's still on 1 gateway. So MaNa just hanging out with his 2 stalkers and Zealot at the top of his ramp, probably going to send these stalkers over to the watchtower just to keep an eye on things. WhiteRa doing the same, keeping 1 stalker here on this tower and keeping his Zealots in the way of this choke point so that MaNa can't just walk right in. So both players just producing units as fast as they can. WhiteRa does drop 2 more gateways. Now that his warp gate technology is researched, he can transform all 3 of those to warp gates and get units to whatever pylon he wants. He's also getting a warp prism in extremely quickly. No observer first, no immortal first. WhiteRa going for a little bit of a sneaky attack here. MaNa doing the much more normal thing and getting an observer out first, chrono boosting that observer to keep tabs on his opponent. So MaNa actually falling behind in unit producing structures. He's only got 2 gateways. and a robotics facility up now, while WhiteRa is actually getting number 2 and number 3 gateway coming in now. The Warp Prism does finish and instantly picks up 3 Zealots. Not sure what he's going to be doing with that. MaNa actually sending his observer over. Let's take his vision for a second and see if he spots that Warp Prism, and no, he does not. So WhiteRa gets out just in time to avoid being seen by that observer and is now sending the Warp Prism over. He's also sending 2 Stalkers here in the middle of the field, probably going to be able to take out these 2 Stalkers unwittingly. So WhiteRa does drop a few Zealots very quickly into the mineral line of MaNa. MaNa's troops are a little bit out of position, but not too far away. 2 Stalkers warp in here, 2 Zealots also coming in now to stop too many probe losses from happening. MaNa doing a good job of bouncing workers back and forth between these minerals and keeping them out of range of these Zealots. It looks like WhiteRa did actually manage to clear out those 2 Stalkers there at the watchtower and is going to continue on. Now that the Zealots have been cleared out from his mineral line, these 2 Stalkers are going to come in and take out 1 probe and probably just back off, as MaNa does have quite a few more units than WhiteRa at this point. So WhiteRa actually could be in trouble here after that failed Warp Prism shenanigans. He does have a robotics bay coming in now, so he will be able to build some Colossus here soon. He picked up an Immortal in that Warp Prism, probably waiting for the second Immortal to arrive so that he can drop both of those. WhiteRa actually still looks pretty good here with 4 Stalkers guarding his ramp. MaNa trying to expand now. He has a decent number of units of his own. Did not lose too many probes to that harassment earlier. He is getting a Colossus out before WhiteRa. That robotics bay finished without me realizing it. He has not started extended thermal lances yet. Instead, it's going to be dropping another gateway. So MaNa ahead on the Colossus game. It looks like WhiteRa's not even investing anything into Colossi. He's still just cranking out tier 1 units, also getting a forward pylon constructed here at the Xel'Naga Tower. Where is that Warp Prism? Here it is, filled with 2 Immortals, hanging out with the Stalker army. So how many Stalkers do we have here? 7 Stalkers, and a Warp Prism filled with 2 Immortals. Stalkers take the lead in front of the Warp Prism. Warp Prism actually drops Immortals behind the lines here to start taking out this Colossus. Immortals do just crazy damage to this Colossus. Warp Prism doing some spotting for that Immortal up the cliff so that the Immortal can hit it. And all these Zealots unable to take out the rest of the Stalkers and Immortal here. Oh, WhiteRa actually changes into phasing mode, gets in 3 more units here. So MaNa sitting with basically nothing. Is he going to get another Colossus out? He's actually got 2 queued up, which kind of sucks for him, but just now getting that 3rd warp gate into warping mode. And he's not looking good here. WhiteRa with a really great use of that Warp Prism, getting that Immortal behind the line to take out that first Colossus. The Warp Prism actually still escaping with his life, and WhiteRa actually has a ton more units than MaNa does right now, so it looks like he is going to be able to sweep up the rest of these Stalkers and this Colossus with no problems here. The Immortal still just shooting away. Look how much damage that does so quickly. Every big blast, and MaNa actually does GG out of the game. So excellent play by WhiteRa. Looks like he was a little bit behind after a somewhat failed Zealot drop into the mineral line, and instead uses his Warp Prism to drop some Immortals in some great spots there, and turning into phasing mode right away to get another 3 units in there immediately from these 3 warp gates. So great play by WhiteRa with that fast Warp Prism. Hope you guys enjoyed that.